Hello and welcome to another edition of Only in Illinois, your weekly video recap from Reboot Illinois. I'm Madeline Dubeck here with Matt Dietrich, and today we want to talk a little bit more in depth about the race for Illinois Treasurer, because it's still not over. More than a week after the election, we have a race that ballots are still being counted, and it's extremely close. And so we have Democrat Mike Frerichs, who's a state senator from the Champaign area, running against Republican Tom Cross, who was the House Republican leader for many years from Yorkville. And this is the closest election we could find. You looked into the history of all of this.
Right. Well,
tell us about it.
As we sit here right now, the unofficial count stands at puts Tom Cross ahead by 500 votes, just under 500 votes. Now, to give you an idea of just how close this race is, there were about 3.5 million ballots cast. There is a differential now of 500 votes. That comes out to 14/100ths of 1%, 0.014%. That's a differential of 1 vote for every 7,000 votes. That's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing that with that many votes cast, you can have a race that is this close. Now, I took a look. I was curious where this stood in perspective of close statewide Illinois elections.
Right.
And right now, the Illinois State Board of Elections on its website has a nice database of all election results going back to 1998. Before then, you have to get into the paper records. So I went over to the Board of Elections office and I combed through the records going back to 1964. The closest race in the last 50 years outside of this one was the 1982 gubernatorial race between Jim Thompson and Adlai Stevenson. That contest was decided by just slightly more than 5,000 votes, which came out to 0.14%. Okay, that's very close. That margin is 10 times bigger than what we're seeing right now in the treasurer's race. Really amazing. And it really sets up almost an inevitable scenario where we're going to have a recount. We've heard...
Right, so what's the timetable as we move forward?
Well, November 18th is the date. That's the deadline for all local election authorities to have their numbers into the Illinois State Board of Election. And local authorities mostly are county clerks. So what they're doing now is you have absentee ballots that are slowly trickling in. So we've reached a point now, after a little over a week, where you're getting counties that'll get 1 or 2 in per day. But there are 100... Through
the mail.
Right.
Of the U.S. mail.
But there are 102 counties in Illinois.
Right.
And I think 108 election authorities. So you do have the potential that this race could get closer, it could get wider. We just don't know. So they have to have their numbers in by November 18th. And November 30th is when the State Board of Elections certifies its count. And that's when you'd have a winner named. That's when you'd see a recount motion filed.
Call for a recount.
Right, and we already had an email from the Cross campaign a day or two after the election saying that they were already gearing up, assembling a legal team for a recount, and I believe the Frerichs campus said the same thing. So this could go on for several more weeks. It almost certainly will.
And so, but there's more at stake than just who's going to invest the state's money, right? Because lots of people over the years have suggested, even some of these candidates in this office and the comptroller's office, that those two offices should be combined. Comptroller is the person who writes the checks that the state of Illinois issues. So what's at stake? Why do these guys care so much about
I think really what's at stake is your position in the political pecking order. If either Tom Cross or Mike Frerichs has an ambition to run for governor, or for some other office higher than the state treasurer. That state treasurer is a good place to start from. Now, you go back to 2010, Dan Rutherford won. He defeated Robin Kelly. Didn't hurt her political career. In fact, you could argue that it may have helped her political career because she ended up taking over Jesse Jackson Jr.'s congressional spot.
Rutherford himself ran for governor in the primary and lost.
Right.
Alexi Janulius, who preceded
He
Rutherford, right?
He ran for
U.S. Senate
against
and
Mark
lost.
Kirk and lost in a pretty
But
close
clearly
race.
it's a stepping stone.
Right. And even if you go back to 2006, Judy Barr Topinka at the time was state treasurer when she ran against Rod Blagojevich, an act which many think has given her such voter sympathy that she can run for whatever she wants from now on. But this really could be a historic election for treasurer, and I wish I had more time to comb through those paper ballots, because I'd love to see, going back to 1818, you know, how close of statewide races have we ever had?
1818, of course, being the year that Illinois
Correct.
became a state.
Mm-hmm.
There's your history for today. That's it for this week's edition. We'll catch you on the next edition of Only in Illinois. Thanks for watching.